Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we'll be sewing corset, and if you know me, you know that I only knit and crochet. But yeah, I hope you will enjoy it. And just before I go into the video, I wanted to share what kind of differences I will be making. So basically, this is the pattern that I bought and this is the corset I will be making, but instead of those cups that you see here, basically I'm not going to make them as pointy as they are, and I will change it up to be rounded cups. Then instead of these eyelets and lace up, I'm gonna insert zip, and just because I'm making it out of a pair of jeans, I'm gonna be cutting this middle part here as a one piece because I want the jeans seam to be right in the middle here. So this is what I'm gonna be changing up, and I know I am very beginner, so I'm not too sure if I will be able to change this up, but yeah, these are the changes I really want to make. I think it's time to print the pattern and get into it. And I've got all my pattern pieces printed. I just need to figure out the layout, and I think I need to trim everything around, so let me just do that first. And I just realized I have this, which is gonna be so much easier and quicker and probably a bit more straight as well. Okay, maybe it's not going to be quicker with this. Oh, Jesus Christ. And that's page 2. Okay, I'm not gonna use this anymore. I reprinted my second page and I'm just gonna stick everything together now. I'm not gonna lie, I am a bit worried because I've never followed pattern with this many pieces, and I only ever did a bag which had front, the back, and the straps, so literally 3 pieces. But I'm not even sure if it has, just because the corset is symmetrical, I'm not too sure if it has all of the pieces twice or once. So I'll have to figure this out as well. Okay, and I just sticked everything together. I hope that it's fine because in some parts it's just a bit wonky, but I'm gonna get to cutting now. This is the part where I think I should have printed by layers, so only print my size because all of these kind of merge and I'm not too sure if I did cut it out correctly. But I think for that you need something like a dobe in, which I don't have. And I just basically couldn't figure out how to print by layers, so I just printed all of them. And I have all of the pieces. Now, to answer my own question that I had for identical pieces, you obviously don't cut twice or print twice or, put it on a pattern twice. It does say to cut 2, which does make sense, and I do remember this from the bag making thing. I just forgot for a second. This is what confuses me because you then have to cut it one way, then flip it over and do it another way. And I feel like you can easily make mistake by cutting it twice the same way if your fabric obviously has wrong and right side. And this baby doesn't give me a break, yeah? So now I'm gonna rip up my jeans, and once my pattern pieces are cut, I will need to wait until my boning arrives, as well as the bra inserts, because I do think I need that for the type of pattern I'm going for, and I've never inserted boning in any of my projects, so that's something new I'm gonna be trying to learn. So I managed to fit all of the pieces with allowance all around, and basically this panel, I have 2 identical, fits a bit more. So what I wanted to do is I want to have this big seam in front of it. That's why I basically cut both pieces as one, and I'm just basically gonna trace everything out so that I can cut it later on with seam allowance. And yes, I ended up tracing it wrong side up like expected, but it was a quick fix and I'm glad I realized before I cut it out. And I'm done tracing out my pieces. I need a break before I go ahead and cut it out. I'm also probably gonna mark those the same way the pattern paper pieces are marked, just not to get confused, because it does look like a lot of pieces. And also, just because I am going to change the way corset closes up, instead of lacing it up, I'm going to be doing a zipper. Probably I will need an extra fabric, so I need to be careful how I cut everything out. I would highly suggest using something like this for tracing. Maybe not chalk because it's a bit messy, but something like erasable markers, because this really helped me in actual sewing. And while I love to recycle old pair of jeans, I probably wouldn't suggest to use something like this for beginners because it is a bit tricky. And I also traced the pieces for my lining. It looks a bit messy with the chalk, but it's just going to help me kind of maintain the shape. And I straight away went into sewing lining. This is not only good for seeing and testing all the stitches, how to sew everything and stuff like that, but also to see how it fits, and it will also be useful as lining at the very end. Now, yesterday I was able to sew the lining, and let me tell you how happy I am about these pieces. So basically it is a straight line, but it looks kind of good, so I'm happy about that. And cups, well, they're not perfect, and I had to seam rip one 3 times until I got it correct, but that's learning, I guess. And then my second one I got on first try. What I found way easier is to kind of join the cup with first half and then second half, and then join these two together at the end, if that makes sense, because it was kind of tricky to join the cup all in one go. So that third time after I seam ripped it, I tried it and it worked best. And it is a bit dirty from the chalk, but you know, it's gonna wash out. And this is how it looks. I'm not too sure if I can show you. Now this is what it looks on, and just bear in mind this is lining, so you know, I've got to try everything out, and I'm kind of ready to sew the actual piece. The cups feel a bit big, so I'm just hoping when I insert the bra cups it's gonna be fine, because they do feel quite big and this was my size, so yeah. But yeah, this is how my lining turned out, and this is one of the things that I love about crochet, knitting, and sewing. There is always something new to learn, whether it's a new stitch, technique, or even a project I never attempted before, and that's why I've been using Skillshare, who is also a sponsor of today's video. If you never heard of it, Skillshare is an online learning platform with thousands of classes. You will find lessons on fiber arts, design, or even how to run a small business if you ever thought about turning your hobby into it. Right now I've been watching Learn to Cut and Sew a Line corset, and it's been extremely helpful for understanding what kind of fabric works best, how to cut a pattern, and in general how to sew everything together. And the best part is that you can explore and learn entirely at your own pace. No rush, no pressure, just learning what excites you most. So if you'd like to give it a try, the first 500 people to use my link in description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. And now let's get back to the video. And also, if you see my finger in the sewing shot, I didn't get hurt with sewing machine, because I do get some messages from you guys saying that you are scared of trying to sew because some people sew through their fingers and stuff like this. So yeah, this wasn't from sewing. I just went to play basketball and literally lost half of my own finger together with acrylics. So don't worry, it wasn't from sewing. But yeah, I'm super happy how this turned out, and I actually proved myself that, you know, by just trying, you can actually learn something new. Now, some news, my boning has arrived, so I'm glad about that, as well as my cups. Now, I really wanted to find a black one, but it was already hard to find correct size and shade, so I just settled for this nude one, and I will have to do lining, even though it would be so much easier if I could just skip the lining for the cups, but it is what it is. And I already had a zipper, but it's quite long. I think I would need to get rid of half of it. And now I'm just gonna set up my sewing machine and start sewing the actual piece. Sewing actual corset pieces that just go around my waist and are pretty straight. I was confident in that because I already did that and it was quite easy, and I don't think I made any mistakes, so this was pretty smooth and easy. And I think actually doing lining first helped, because otherwise I would have made mistakes, I'm pretty sure of that. And I almost got half of it done. Ignore all of the lines again because I drew them twice. on the wrong and the right side, but the good thing is that it washes out. And I also got my cup done, so this is how the cup looks like. And I think the next thing is to actually sew the bra padding in, and whatever fabric I have left here at the top is just gonna go like this, so it's gonna get to that rounded shape that I wanted. So if I look at the lines that I have in there, I just align my bra cup and it seems to be the perfect size, almost. Not sure if you can see it. I'm gonna sew that. So I'm gonna touch half of my cup with this curve, and then lastly with this middle one. And then I'm gonna repeat the same thing for another side by, completing the rest and then attaching one at a time. I hope that makes sense. And I sewed it wrong side in. Please bear with me while I'll seam rip this, and I couldn't find my seam ripper, so I used these snippers and it worked great, and I then made sure to get it right on the second try. When I sewed the bra padding in, it was time to sew it together with the rest of the corset, which was by far the most difficult part. And I wasn't confident in doing this at all, but I managed to do it, and this is how it turned out. And I've got my first half of the corset done. I mean, it's not perfect, it could be better, but this is best I can do now. I'm just hoping when I do finish it, put in boning, that it's gonna look a bit better than it looks now. But honestly, I am happy how it looks. I think it is pretty good for someone who doesn't have much experience. And I do like everything but the cups. So these could be better. But yeah, I don't think I can do any better than this. So I'm just gonna sew the other half off camera because it's exactly the same thing, and I'll see how it looks all together. And maybe an hour later, I've got the full piece. It could be better, it's not going to, and I'm kind of happy with it. There are some bits I don't like, for example, where the seams don't meet or there's a bit of bunching. I do struggle to hold it in, plus I'm wearing a bra underneath, so it might look a bit weird, but I think it looks okay. And I now just have to put in lining and create boning channels. But I do like this so far, and the fact that these two pieces are cut out from the jeans with lighter black or gray, I love this part and I think it looks really cool. So I pinned my fabrics right sides in, and I'm gonna sew along the side, along the top. I'm gonna skip the cup. I'm gonna then sew in the middle here, skip another cup, sew along here and down the bottom. And then I'm also gonna leave this bottom part here so I can then put my boning in. Sewing lining in was also pretty much straightforward because you just sew along the edges and you flip it inside out. It's most likely gonna look okay because everything else is gonna stay inside. And I sewed the lining. I just cut the edges so it's not as bulky, and I'm gonna turn it inside out together with you. And I'm kind of wondering if I'll have to sew the lining for the cups by hand, because this seems like the only reasonable option. And it honestly looks kind of okay, apart from the cups, because obviously these are not attached yet and they have way too much fabric, but kind of looks okay. I'm going to try to iron it so that it stays in place and it's a bit easier for me to sew those channels for boning. And then I'm gonna be worrying about the bottom because the pattern says to sew it using bias tape, and I think I have bias tape but not in black, so I have every other color possible but not the black, and I don't feel like adding bias tape. I'm kind of thinking about fabric glue and then sewing on top. Fabric glue would help me to kind of set everything in place, but maybe I can get away with, pinning everything and tucking it to the wrong side. But yeah, I'm just gonna iron it and I'll see how it goes with the boning first. Before sewing boning channels, I went ahead and installed my zipper just so I can try it on and see if it fits. I know this isn't correct way on installing a zipper, but this is the only way I know how to install it, and it worked, so as long as it works, I'm fine with it. I'm gonna create those channels, and I think I'm only gonna do it for these two seams because it does look a bit complicated to do in anywhere else. And also, this is how the zip is looking. I managed to kind of shorten it, but I struggled with the ends, and I only managed to add one stopper out of the two, but it does work. It does stop the zipper, so I'm fine with it. And one is done. I'm honestly doing them a bit thicker because I'm worrying about all of the fabric that's already there. So let's see if that fits. Oh yeah, I think it does go in, or maybe not. Oh yeah, I got through. I think, yeah, it goes through. So let's do another one. So these four are done, and I also decided to do this long one. Now, just before I show you how it looks on, I just want to say a couple of final things. Now, I wouldn't recommend this project for beginners, and I probably wouldn't have started it myself if I knew how hard the cup area was. Now, there are a couple of things. First of all, it's too big. Now, I don't want to blame the pattern because it's probably me. I probably messed up with my seam allowance, and just in general, I probably got it wrong. But the two things, the cups are too big, as well as the bust and waist itself. And then again, the pattern said to either finish it up by sewing to a skirt or adding bias tape, which I might do. I just need to order it, so I still have the seam allowance, and I just basically did straight stitch to just kind of make sure the boning doesn't come out, so I will be able to add bias tape. Or if that doesn't look good, I'm just gonna mess this part up for it to be like kind of distressed. So I'll see how the bias tape goes, but I'm happy how the zipper turned out. Even though this isn't correct way on installing a zipper, I'm probably still gonna try and do this one more time with different fabric and see how it goes. But for now, let's see how it looks on. And just bear in mind, I have another bra underneath. But yeah, this is it. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you did, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you have any ideas of beginner-friendly projects that are a bit more advanced, I would love to hear. I would perhaps love to make a dress or a skirt or anything like that. So if you have any suggestions, let me know, and I'll see you in my next one.